Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Sarcasm Speaks. Jared and Bob here, flying at you. Let's see. What do I feel I had something queued up ready. Oh, okay. This is what it is. Um, so this is the initial event is a little bit dated. I think it went down maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, potentially three. But there's been ongoing issues, I suppose you could say. The event has been dragged out over the course of the 3 weeks. So um have you heard anything? Were you ever aware of like a panel of Ivy League presidents in front of Congress?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. So you get the gist of like what's going on there?
Pretty much,
All
I
right.
think.
So for anybody that doesn't know, that's watching or listening, there were presidents from three schools. It was UPenn, the University of Pennsylvania, not Penn State Nittany Lions, not those guys. The Ivy League, Penn, Harvard, and MIT was the third one. So there are three presidents. All three of them, I believe, were female, and they were at a hearing in front of Congress, and I don't know the details of why they were even there, like in particular, those three people. Um, but the cliff notes on it is there was a congresswoman from somewhere. Again, don't know where she was from, but she went to these three women on the panel and said um, something of to the effect of, do you as university presidents condone the call for genocide to Jews? And all three of the presidents just kind of stood like sat there and were like, well, um you know, it depends, and it's more complicated than that, and it's this and it's that, and gave the runaround. And the congresswoman was like, I'm going to ask you again, do you condone speech calling for the genocide of Jewish people at your school? Yes or no? And then, like, one of the women laughed, and another one was like, well, as you see, there's more to it than that. Like, kept doing like the political runaround thing. So, again, the cliff notes here, none of the three said no. So none of them could just come out and say, no, we do not stand for the calling of genocide of Jews at our school. That's all they had to do. They couldn't do it. All three of them couldn't do it. So big time problems after that congressional hearing, if you can imagine. People were not thrilled. Imagine that.
How come?
Imagine that. Not standing up and in against genocide towards Jews, huh? You didn't think that would become a problem? You didn't think that someone tried that already? Like, you know, almost 100 years ago now at this point. I mean, it's like 85 years ago, really, but um it you didn't remember that one guy that tried to do that, or that didn't he didn't try. He did. He did
He
do
no,
that.
he succeeded. Don't you worry.
He certainly did do that. Um Despite what the young kids think today, the Holocaust was real. Just as a side note,
What is this, Austria?
so as a side note, we'll get back to this. This is a tangent. I think this is like a worthwhile tangent. Shout out to Roca News again. They should really be paying me at this point for the amount that I push them everywhere. But I saw on they produced an article that showed the demographic breakdown of people that think the Holocaust was either fake or exaggerated. And let me see if I can find um the exact stuff here. I don't know if I'll be able to find it quickly. Um but it was something like 20% ish of people between the ages of, I think it's 18 to 29, think the Holocaust was fake
Or
or it didn't
exaggerated?
happen.
Was that the category?
So that was a separate category.
Oh God.
Yeah. Um,
Um, so is this, I know this is our tangent, but is this a Christian thing? Like, why, who is to benefit from not believing that the Holocaust was real? Like, who does it
uh,
harm that it historically happened? Or
it's
is
a
it
good question.
is it Muslims because the Muslims hate the Jews?
Yeah, so
It,
it started so this is kind of how it had all started was I think during the 90s, um Iran, who hates Jews, right? As a nation. I'm generalizing there. Obviously not everyone in Iran hates Jews, but most of them do.
well, do they hate
Um
Jews or do they hate Israel?
uh
And I don't want to hear that they're both the same because it's not, because there are
I think
Jews
it's more
here.
Israel. They
Okay.
they hate it more Israel.
Because if there's a bunch of Jews in, I won't use here either because Iran's fucking nuts. Say there's like a random Jewish population in fucking India, like, which doesn't make any damn sense, but we're gonna pretend.
Right.
Would Iran hate them too? Or is it, do they hate Israel and do they hate Americans?
I think Iran hates just about everyone that's not Muslim, to be totally honest.
Okay, well, at least I don't pick favorites.
But so the reason why I was like not really interested in like just discerning the difference was Iran back in the 90s. I think it was the president at the time came out and said, yeah, and I know they do hate Israel, but at the time they were the ones that started saying the Holocaust was fake.
Uh,
So you see, that's why I was like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter
yeah.
to me whether they hate Israel or the Jews because they hate both clearly because they're
Well, because
saying
if you hate,
the
well,
Holocaust was fake.
well, that's because again, most, so that would be just Jews in general. So because the Holocaust majorly affected European Jews.
Right.
So they hate the religion and the nation. But that's
Yes.
rude.
I don't know
Whatever
why I
reasons.
can't find this. Maybe it was part of last week's Roca.
I just I'm like I really struggle with the fact that you can visit the place, or I guess the places
Yeah,
where the
multiple places.
Holocaust existed. Like I just I don't understand. I don't under I will never understand the denial.
Yeah,
But again, if I know I so I understand Iran's motives. I get that
right.
because
Because they hate
it's hatred.
yeah, that's
That's an
just
easy
hatred.
one.
Right, right.
And then when Austria was denouncing it, or I guess pretending it didn't exist, well, that's because it's one of their own guys. I think they have since flipped on that.
Right. Okay, so here's the actual article. I couldn't find on the app. Um, but 1 in 5 young Americans thinks the Holocaust is a myth.
Wow.
Um, so this actually ties into it. So this article was written by The Economist, which is a magazine or publication, whatever, on December 7th of this year, so 10 days ago. And they open up on December 5th for over 5 hours. Lawmakers grilled the presidents of elite universities in a congressional hearing about anti-Semitism on college campuses. And they go on, whatever. Oh, so the Republican Congresswoman was Elise Stefanik, who asked whether calling for the genocide of Jews violates university rules. Liz McGill, the president of UPenn, replied, "It's context dependent," which is a direct quote. She said it's context dependent. Um, Clips of the exchange went viral on X, formerly Twitter. All this stuff. So the poll from The Economist says that 20% of people polled between the ages of 18 and 29 think the Holocaust is a myth. That's the actual wording that they used in this poll. 20% of people between age 18 to 29 think the Holocaust is a myth. And then 23% think that the Holocaust was exaggerated.
I'm fascinated as to where that comes from.
Same.
Because it can't so and this is gonna sound bad, but it can't all be disbelief driven by hate, right? Now that's why in the Middle East people they like this is why they fight.
Right.
It's hatred towards another group of people.
Right.
So 43%, was it 43? Was my math
23.
correct? No, was it for either think it's fake or exaggerated?
Well, I think there were two separate questions. They're two
Two
separate
separate questions.
polls.
Okay, never mind. So however you
So
want to group
20% think it
that.
was fake and
And 23 think
23%
it was
think it was
exaggerated. Okay,
exaggerated.
so it's not necessarily 43 think. Okay, fine. Uh I'm just like I'm fascinated to know where like the skepticism comes from.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be like it's got to be being taught that way somewhere because we learned about it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Spent quite a bit on it.
we absolutely did. So who is pushing in the because it's American, so who is pushing in the United States that it's not real or it's exaggerated or it's not that big of a deal? Like where is that coming from?
So, according to this article, again, they are insinuating that it's from social media. So, they say right here that social media might play a role. According to a 2022 survey from the Pew Research Center, Americans under 30, and this is just in general, are about as likely to trust information on social media as they are to trust national news organizations.
It's not even a
Uh,
fair battle anymore.
More recently, Pew found that 32% of people between the ages of 18 and 29, so effectively, let's just call them Gen Z, because I think that's mostly what they are. I think that is exactly what they are, is Gen Z. I think the millennial generation ends in 1995 or
It's like
1996.
96, 97, something like that.
Yeah. So let's just call it Gen Z. Um, 32% of those people get their news from TikTok. 32%, a third of all people polled in Gen Z get their news from TikTok. So, and then the article goes on to say social media sites are rife with conspiracy theories. Research has found strong associations between rates of social media use and beliefs in such theories. A recent survey by Generation Lab, a data intelligence company, found that young adults who use TikTok were more likely to hold anti-Semitic beliefs. That's interesting.
Why the fuck? Yeah, again, so I'm not on TikTok. I don't know what the
I'm
fuck's
not,
being
yeah, I'm not
pushed.
either, but it sounds like it's TikTok.
It's just fucking wild to me, dude. Like you can go to Auschwitz still.
Yeah.
You can go there. You
Yeah.
can see it.
Yep.
It's still standing.
Oh, yeah. You can walk through the ghettos in Poland. Pretty sure they're still there. I think they redeveloped some of the areas, but I think they left some just as like a, hey, don't forget about, that time we rounded up all the Jews in Europe and sent them to live in ghettos in the middle of fucking Poland before we sent them to fucking camps. Right? That was the first step. So they
Right.
they went to they went to the ghettos, and then they went from the ghettos to the camps. And you were lucky if you got sent to a work camp. where they worked you almost to death or to
Right.
death instead of torturing you to
To
death
or instead of
or just to literally kill you.
just to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
I don't know, man.
20% of Gen Z thinks the Holocaust is fake.
That's fucking it's fucking mind blowing to me.
That's fucking stupid. You know what? That is retarded. It gets called what it is. That is absolutely retarded.
It is. And like that, and that's the thing is like because I don't want to hear the compelling argument, but I was gonna say, oh, if you think it's exaggerated, it's like, well, I don't know if it was 6 million. It was still a fuckload.
Right. 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 There's too many. How
Well,
about that?
there you go. Doesn't matter what the number is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't know about six, but I think it might have been four. There's still a fuckload. That is an
Yeah.
absolute fuckload of people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And like
So
it, yeah,
I don't know if it's becoming in vogue, right, to think that the Holocaust was fake. Like, clearly, if 20% of Gen Z thinks that way, it's got to be some sort of, and if it is fueled by social media, it's got to have some sort of like cachet behind it, right? Like, it's the whole, when was that, like, at this point, it might have been 5-ish years ago when Kyrie Irving came out and said, "Well, yeah, the world is flat." And then it was like cool for kids to say that the world was flat, right? Because there were people actually thinking it. Like, I think that could be a similar effect. Obviously, saying the world is flat is a lot different than saying the Holocaust was fake, but I think the situations in and of itself, um, as a whole, like from a 30,000 foot view, right? I think those are similar situations as to what's happening. It's because like someone or something, right? Some entity has like made it like in vogue to think a certain way.
yeah, or like
Just
the certain influences.
right. In 2016, it was Kyrie Irving and the world being flat. And in 2023, it's TikTok saying the Holocaust was fake.
Again, goes back to like obviously people don't know how to like think for themselves and think critically. Like
Right.
uh, again, like there's plenty on Mr. Adolfo Hitler there.
Yeah.
He didn't really like, beat around the bush or like hide his intentions.
Nope. Nope. He was
Pretty
pretty clear. Pretty
pretty
clear
straight
with what he was
shooter.
doing. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was recent enough in history where there's enough documentation.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not like he just had speeches where he talked about it. He wrote that shit down. There's a
And then,
there's a little book that he wrote
yeah,
called Mein Kampf.
it's your comp now. I was thinking about that the other day.
Shout out to Dickie.
So we have museums, historical records, textbooks, the literal locations,
Right.
and more things that I'm not thinking of.
Yeah.
But TikTok says it's fake for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And now there's like a skepticism that it never happened. People used to fucking clown on Austria for this. And Turkey, right?
Yeah.
They pretend that they didn't
The
fucking
Armenian genocide.
yeah, they
Yeah.
don't acknowledge that that happened, right?
Yeah. They're like, we don't know what happened to those
Nope.
millions of Armenians. They just
Nope.
kind of up and disappeared.
Must have been someone else.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't us. You talk to anybody that's Armenian, ask them how they feel about Turkey, and
Yeah, they
they'll
don't not.
they'll let you know.
That's the thing is like we sit here we make fun of Turkey.
Yeah,
Like it fucking happened.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know,
So
man. Anyway,
yeah, people, kids are dumb, right? Kids are really fucking
which
stupid.
I know that.
Um, but I mean, we don't have to get into like that part of it either. But I was
No,
gonna say,
because
shame on like the teachers and the parents of those kids that eventually go on to think that way, because that's people that are like not willing to have a difficult conversation, right? It's like you just listen to like if a kid ever says something like that, it's like hey, hold on a second. Where'd you hear that from? And okay, let's sit down and let's have a chat. Let's have a chat about this, right? Like that's what a good teacher and or a parent or parental figure, right, should do if they hear that specific situation. But again, we don't need to go down that road. Um, I've only been a parent for 3 months. I don't need to lecture other people on how to be a
Yeah,
parent, right?
one time parent.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I have been a teacher for a lot longer, so I can speak at least on that level. Um, but regardless, back to the opening thought of the UPenn, Harvard, MIT people. Um, they couldn't do it. They couldn't say, no, we do not condone speech that calls for genocide of Jews. So obviously, people did not like that. The one group that you kind of really don't want to fuck with is the Jews, right? Like we've been talking about the Middle East that they've been fighting literally for thousands of years. The Jews have been fucked with literally
Like their entire
since their
history,
entire existence.
which goes back as long as you want to believe,
Right, right.
like time has existed.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So it's like, hey man, maybe let's not. Right? It's like, I don't know. They've had it pretty bad, right? For literally their whole existence. But, you know, it, that's a whole other thing too. So either way, um, people were unhappy and they started going after these presidents of these universities. And before I get to what happened and where it stands now, me personally, how I feel about this is I think it's complete bullshit and utter horseshit, really, because these are the same universities and the same presidents that if now this isn't to say that like I, am a big fan of these people, but these are the same universities and presidents that if a person like a Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder or um Candace Owens, right? I'm trying to think of like some other like conservative, big conservative voices. If they ever wanted to conduct any sort of like presentation or meeting or anything on a college campus, those presidents and those universities would be the first ones to say, no, you're not allowed here because your speech offends our students and our students don't feel safe when you're here. And those are also the same people that support, whether tacitly or implicitly, right? Or explicitly, really, the violence towards those people, right? Like I've heard the stories about, Ben Shapiro goes to a college campus for let's say like some sort of presentation, and like there's quote unquote liberals, right, outside on campus, like throwing shit at the cars, right? Like empty cans or full beer cans or, shit like that. They're screaming. They're fucking. I think one time they locked the doors of the auditorium, like with chains, so that like no one could go in. So it's like, you'll support that, right? And again, whether it's implicitly or explicitly, it doesn't really matter because by saying nothing and allowing it to happen, you're implicitly supporting it, right? Like that's what it is. So these colleges will take on those people, even someone like a Jordan Peterson, who like, yeah, I guess now, as we are at the end of 2023 heading into 2024, you could call him a conservative, but like 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, he wasn't like traditional, like conservative, like Republican, right leaning. He was just a guy that was fighting for free speech. He just wanted free speech to reign. And they wouldn't allow him on campuses, right? Like they did everything they could to prevent these people from coming to present on their campuses. So there's a precedent there, right? That's what I'm getting at. There's an actual precedent set by these universities of preventing certain speech on their campuses. And it's the speech that they deem unsafe, right? I'm using air quotes if you're not watching on YouTube. Like these people that are like, oh, well, our students here don't feel safe if you came to campus. All that bullshit, right? But then you ask them, do you support speech that calls for genocide of Jews? Yes or no? Well, I mean, it's complex, right? It's complex. No, it's not. It's not complex, actually. It's pretty fucking simple. You either do or you don't. Because if next week Jordan Peterson wanted to go speak at Harvard, I bet you the fucking president of Harvard would put the kibosh on that. But 3 weeks ago, in a congressional hearing, she couldn't say that she condemned anti Semitic speech or actions, right? Whatever it was. So, my personal opinion, all of these people can get fucked. They can all sit on a fucking broomstick that's splintery.
So, as a common idiot, I just really don't get it. I don't, because this is something like, so Jews always say, they're like, well, we always get the short end of the stick. We always get, like, no one gives us whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, the Holocaust sucked. And if you go back into like ancient history, like that shit sucks. And like Middle East is always a fucking war zone.
Yeah.
But then just something as simple as all you had to say was, we do not condone speech targeting the genocide of Jews. That's all you had to say.
Yep.
Now, if you want to allow people to be pro Palestine, whatever, again, back to like implicit, explicit, it implies a certain thing, but like you can defend whatever side you want to defend.
Right. And truthfully, I wouldn't have a problem with them sitting there saying it's complex if they were like that across the board. If
Which they're
they
not.
if they allowed conservative speakers on their campuses to give presentations and hold events and things like that by saying we need to protect freedom of speech and all of this, and all speech is protected under the First Amendment and things like that, yada yada, so on and so forth. If that's how they were across the board, okay, I might not like that they couldn't say that they don't condemn it, but they're at least consistent across the board. But my issue, why I want them all to sit on a splintery fucking broomstick, is because they're quite obviously and literally not consistent across the board.
It just seems like a weird hill to die on, too.
Yeah, it does.
Seems like a really weird hill. Like, how, like, like, how is it like this is where you can't say no?
Yeah,
And that's the thing, is you don't even have to mean it.
right.
Because they made it so fucking easy for you, too. Because genocide was a word that was used.
Yes.
And all you had to say is, no, we don't promote or defend genocide. Nope, definitely
No.
not.
No. All you have to do is exactly what you said.
All
We
you had to
don't we
do.
don't condone it, but under the First Amendment in the Constitution, we believe that people have the right to say what they believe. So
Yep.
whether or not we support it doesn't matter because the First Amendment protects it, right? You couldn't even say that.
Nope. And then it's also a weird hill to die on because, like, aren't Jewish people, like, Jewish people are in higher ed?
Oh yeah, so that's the next step. So that's what
Okay, I'm
happened
jumping
next.
ahead. Okay.
So what do you yes. What else do you know about Jewish people?
So if I was to stereotype, and this is,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
so
so let's
I'm gonna
stereotype away.
stereotype for a second. Uh, Generally, they are in higher ed.
Mm-hmm.
They are professors. They are practicing. If I was to just pick some random stereotypical jobs, they're involved with usually like finance, accounting, business, lawyer, like
Would you say they're stereotypically
medical.
pretty successful?
Usually they're of usually pretty successful higher ed, Like that would be if I was to stereotype,
Yeah.
that's usually how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a literal fact also is that more Jews have won the Nobel Prize for than literally any other race in the entire world, right? In the entire world, there have been more Jews that have won Nobel Prizes than anybody else. So they're, whether or not you want to say it's a stereotype that they're intelligent or rich or whatever.
I mean, I'm sure there's some Jewish crackheads too,
Oh
but
yeah, of course, right? Like, but so so regardless, now the actual point is, yeah, so they're pretty successful, right? They have a lot of money. They might have gone to some of these Ivy League schools. So what do you think they did when they found out that the presidents of these schools would not condone Jewish genocide?
I'd be cutting off any and all fucking financial contributions. That would be step one.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. That's exactly what happened. I think I forget what school it was. It might have been Harvard or it might have been Penn. Um, there was an alumnus. Is that a single alumni? An
I believe
alumnus?
so.
There was an alumnus of Penn who is Jewish who revoked his $100 million donation to the school. One
What
hundred
the?
million dollars from one person.
Yeah, I would say that's one person.
From one person was like, yeah, I'm gonna spend my money somewhere else. So I mean, a lot of these schools started to lose a ton of money. So what happened? Shortly after this debacle on Capitol Hill, um, I don't know if it's like the board of trustees or whatever the fuck exists at a college level that's higher than the president. Um, they fired the president from UPenn. Her name was Liz McGill. She's gone.
Okay.
I don't know if they might have let her resign just to kind of like do whatever, but
Yeah.
she's gone, right? So I think the $100 million
That
yanking
was that was what did
was
it.
was probably what did it. Yeah, yeah. So people are still going after like MIT and all these other places, whatever. Harvard, good old Harvard, right? Like you think, what's the best university in the entire world? How many people are going to say Harvard? Quite a bit, right? Like I'd say it's probably a 50-50 split between Harvard and Oxford. If you just like grabbed a random person on the street anywhere in the world, right? And was like, what's the best university in the entire world? Outside of North Korea, because they don't know what exists outside of their little area.
Yeah, Kim
Um,
Kim Jong Il
yeah, yeah,
you and
yeah.
Kim
KJIU.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
KJUA.
um, so it's probably pretty close to an even split between Harvard and Oxford, right? Harvard decided to double down and support their president. They said, "No, we support what she said. We will not be removing her from her position like they did at Penn with Dr. McGill. This woman, whatever her name is, she's safe." Well, people really didn't like that. So they dug a little deeper into this president at Harvard University. Um, Let me see if I can find the specifics here. Harvard president. So they found that she was Claudine Gay. So her name is Claudine Gay, right? Uh, People were trying to get her removed from her position because of what she said on Capitol Hill about genociding Jews and things like that. Harvard said, nope, we support her. We're not getting rid of her. So then people took a step further. And the National Association of Scholars has now called for the removal of Claudine Gay. So no, it's no longer just Jewish people, right? It's not like, oh, you have an entire religion or ethnic group, whatever, that wants you taken out of your job. No, there's a National Association of Scholars because they have discovered and have produced allegations of plagiarism in some of her work. So I was trying to find this on Twitter because whoever tweeted it out had like a ton of information, but I can't find it. So I'm just gonna like make it up, right? I'm gonna paraphrase what I got from Twitter. So apparently, this woman, Claudine Gay, has a PhD, and there were issues with her PhD dissertation regarding plagiarism that the National Association of Scholars has discovered and has now alleged that she plagiarized part of her dissertation. Well, then people on Twitter started digging a little bit deeper. And I saw one person put out there that I think on average, a president of a university in the United States has produced or produces like 9 to 11 scholarly pieces of work per year or something like that. Or it was per year before becoming president or something like that, right? Again, I'm paraphrasing, making it up a little bit. Regardless, Claudine Gay has produced 6 in her entire academic career, right? Regardless of whether it's 9 to 11 per year or this or that, whatever the numbers were, is she had 6 in her entire academic career. And now there's allegations that she plagiarized part of her dissertation. So people are also alleging that as a Black woman, she was severely underqualified to be the president of Harvard University, which is potentially one of the most, if not the most, right up there with Oxford, prestigious universities in the entire world, not just the country, the entire world. So now people are doubling down on her, right? They're digging more into her and they're like, nope, fuck this. Fuck this lady. She said she wouldn't deny the genocide on the Jews. Well, now we found out that she plagiarized her dissertation. And oh, by the way, she seems severely underqualified to be a president of any university. Just like as typical, like, job qualifications go to be the president of a university anywhere in the country, she would be underqualified for those jobs. But somehow she landed Harvard. So, and then another letter coming from potentially a colleague. They weren't sure. They weren't saying, but they said there were accusations of her bullying her colleagues, suppressing free speech, overseeing a racist admissions program, and failing to address the aforementioned anti-Semitism on campus. So things are not going so well for President Gay at Harvard.
Well, the other thing, so hit them where it hurts. You have the donors, right?
Right.
And I think if you want to talk about a population of people that don't forget, it's probably the Jewish population.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
There's gonna be very few Jews that look at that and go, I'll still contribute.
Yeah.
Probably not gonna happen.
Nope.
Or not gonna happen a lot. There'll be some people that are like fringe Jews.
There's always people that hate themselves.
Portnoy made a pretty good statement when those
Yeah,
came out.
Portnoy's been pretty solid about the whole thing.
Now, he is a Jewish man.
Correct.
He also has a large platform.
He also has a lot of money.
So he made a point because I saw this. He goes, I'm calling for the colleges to fire these people from their positions. He goes, and also, I'm not taking in any graduates from any of these three schools. So if you go to this school, just don't even apply to Barstool Sports. Like, I'm done with you, effectively.
Yeah, good for him.
And
I
he was,
haven't
I
seen
think
that video.
it was a tweet.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I'm
I
sure there's a video at some point because he always does a video, but
right.
it was like the day it happened. He said that he goes, I'm not hiring anyone that graduates from these three schools. Now, Portnoy runs Barstool Sports. He doesn't run,
Right. Liberty
a
Mutual. Right.
massive,
Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't run like a massive law firm or financial company
Right.
or a hospital or a
Yeah, like
medical
New York
system.
Life.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how many Penn graduates aspire to work career at Barstool Sports. I don't know. Usually you would argue that they're probably on to bigger and better things.
Right.
Fine. But what Portnoy says out loud is what other people think.
Right.
That's the big one.
Right.
So he'll say it. Other people will not say it, but they'll also do it.
Yeah.
So, your Harvard degree at a job in a pool of Yale, Cornell, Columbia, and Brown. Well, I know which one just got pushed to fifth.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what's on there. The
Right.
school you went to is run by idiots, and
Right.
someone will see that and someone will pay attention to that, and they just won't say it, and they'll be like, we went with someone else.
Yep.
Or it's like, oh, yeah, we'll be contacting qualified people for interviews. Oh, do I get an interview? No. We
No,
reviewed your qualifications.
they don't match what we're looking for.
Yep. Oh, can you expound on that? No.
Yeah, you went to Harvard.
So I think that's the trickle. So like the big one is going to be like, the donors and the alumni. But yeah, I mean, there'll be people that pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And again, ultimately these schools are going to be fine. Like the students that go to these schools are going to be fine.
Right.
But what a fucking chicken shit move.
Yeah. Yeah. Somehow MIT skirted all this. I don't know if they let go of their president or did whatever they did with her. But
You know what?
she's the only one that hasn't been in the news. It's been
Eh,
Penn because she got let go, right? And then Harvard because they doubled down,
well,
and
it's also
now
Harvard.
right, and it's Harvard.
Like
But
MIT is a phenomenal school,
right, but it's
but
not Harvard.
I would almost say ask a random person in Germany. Oh, have you heard of Harvard? I don't know what the percentage that they
Yeah,
have
Oxford's
is.
little brother, right?
So like I don't know what like let's just pretend that like 60% of Germans have at least heard of Harvard.
Right.
Well, how many Germans do you think have heard of MIT? Got to be at least a third.
Less than have heard of Harvard. Whatever the number
Wait,
is,
yeah,
it's less
I'm
than
thinking
Harvard.
it's way closer to like less than 20%. Because there'll be some Germans that look into like international technology schools.
Right.
That's probably why they're lying in the weeds a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you right now, if it was Yale and not MIT, you'd be hearing the same shit
Right.
as the other two.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it initially happened a few weeks ago, but it's still been going on. And like I said, this is the latest and greatest with the Harvard president is they just keep finding other ways to fucking get after her. So it'll be interesting to see what the board at Harvard does now.
Yeah,
Because
man. I
if
like
this
this.
National Association of Scholars can prove that she plagiarized her dissertation, like at that point, her career is over.
Yeah, I mean, if you get drilled for plagiarism, you're fucked.
Her academic career is over. Whereas if she was resigned, like Liz McGill, I know her name because she was in the news. Let's be completely honest here. She had to resign from Penn. Give it 2 years, right? She'll go be the president at some other university, and we will literally never hear her name ever again. Right? Like that's just what's going to happen, right? Is she going to be at a school as prestigious as Penn? No, but like at the end of the day, does it matter whether you're to some people, yes, but like if you're the president at Penn or you're the president of you know Cornell or even like a UCLA or a Cal Berkeley or like one of those schools that's like pretty good out on the West Coast, right? Like it's fine.
It'll have to be one of those good academic but smaller schools.
Right.
Like
She'll be fine. Like I said, Liz McGill will go on. She'll become a president at some other university. Maybe she'll be like a UFC fighter that gets injured and has to come back and have like a warm-up fight before they start fighting real people. So like maybe she'll get hired as the president of like North Dakota State, right? She'll go to North Dakota State for like a year and a half and then she'll be able to get the Cal Berkeley job or something like that. You know what I mean? So she'll be fine. If what's her Liz Gay? What no, what's her Claudine Gay? If she gets caught with plagiarism in her
nope,
dissertation,
that is
she's
it.
done. She ain't going nowhere.
Probably don't get your bennies either.
Yeah. So, I mean, all she had to do was just fucking resign and disappear. And like I said, take a year or two off and then go back somewhere else, right? Like go be the president of UMaine, UMaine Orno, right? Like you're fine. Like work there for like a year or two and then
Bridgewater
go
State.
back somewhere else, right? Like then get your try and sneak your way back into an Ivy somewhere. But like you could be fucked forever now. All because
Bet you a Jewish person probably looked that up too.
oh, probably. They probably dropped the line to the NAS.
They probably work for the NAS and go, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me go into my archives real
Yeah.
quick.
Let me see however I can find a way to fuck this
That's such
university.
an easy way too, because plagiarism's tough. Like I don't know what the accepted rate of plagiarism is. Like I don't know if it's like
Right.
10% of a paper, 5% of a paper.
Yeah, like I don't know what the
Someone
threshold
petty
is,
enough
right?
though, they'll fucking make that person's life a living hell.
Yeah. Um I'm just trying to see on Twitter if I could find any new updates or anything on it. But um oh Jesus. This comes from businessinsider.com, which I think is pretty legit. So, according to them, in this article, Harvard is now trying to redefine a new type of plagiarism called inadequate citation that would make it okay so that they don't have to fire their president. So, Harvard is tripling down.
Yeah, pretty much.
They were
I think
like,
that's I think that's a I think that's a fair conclusion to jump to.
yeah, they wouldn't fire her after the congressional hearing, right? And they doubled down and said, nope, we support her. She's not going anywhere. Now they found plagiarism, which makes me feel like there's actual plagiarism,
Yep.
right? There's actual plagiarism now. Now Harvard is tripling down and being like, well, we're actually going to define this as a new type of plagiarism called inadequate citation,
Which is
um,
literally plagiarism.
which is yeah, it's just plagiarism in more words, so that they can say that's what it was, so that they don't need to fire her.
That's what any plagiarism would be. That's impressive.
Yeah.
No, no, no. This isn't plagiarism. This is just using someone else's words without citing it properly.
Yeah. Yep.
It's way different. Fuck them, man. That's so fucking pretentious too.
Wow. And
It's
again,
like
this is coming from businessinsider.com. This is a legit article.
that's so fucking pretentious. It's like, oh well, we're Harvard, so why don't we just change the definition of plagiarism?
Yeah.
Bro, you got bagged. Should have fucking fired her.
Yeah.
Or she should resign. Skip a step. Oh, I'm not resigning. Okay, then you're fired.
Yeah. I'd like to know who's on Harvard's board, who's on their board of directors, because if it comes out that it's like, you know, someone from fucking Saudi Arabia and another person from fucking, that receives money from, you know, uh, some massive oil company in Iran. And it's like, oh, okay. I see what's going on here. I don't know. Are you looking up Harvard board of
I'm
directors?
trying to. It's a board of overseers.
It's fucking stupid. Fuck Harvard. It's the
Uh,
dumbest shit ever.
yeah, I mean, there's like a lot.
Yeah.
I also don't know how I would go about figuring out their
Yeah. Like their
religion.
affiliations. Yeah. So whatever. That's fucking dumb. They're all dumb. Fuck Harvard.
There's a lot, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, in similar vein, before we wrap things up here for episode one, which as the sausage is being made and you are all seeing, this is episode one of a double header for us tonight. But before we wrap things up, there's one other thing, kind of like I said, in the same vein, of the Boston area and controversy. Um, this one's a touch more recent too, because it was last Friday. The mayor, right, who is a complete shitbag. I think we're all under agreement that most people don't like this woman, for various different reasons. So she just gave people another reason to dislike her, because Mayor Wu in Boston was hosting a coloreds only elected officials party, holiday party last Friday. And the only reason people found out about it is because her secretary effectively sent out an email to all staff instead of just the colored staff.
I also love that we're using color.
I didn't know. Is that like that's the thing?
Once I thought we got rid of that word once
I
upon a
thought you couldn't
time.
say that anymore. I used to yell at my grandparents when I was a kid saying you can't say that word anymore. You can't call them colored. That's not okay. But apparently this is what we're doing now, because she was hosting a non-white colored elected officials holiday party last Friday. And again, her secretary fucked up and sent the invitation to everybody. So the white people saw it and was like, hey, what the fuck? And then sent it to various news outlets. And now it's been all over the news. And in a similar vein, again, the bitch doubled down when they confronted her. They were, I'm trying to see, I think I might have sent it to Vinny, but Vinny and I have sent so many different videos back and forth to each other since last Friday. Um, yeah, okay, so I found it. Um, it was the Electeds of Color. That's what it was. Electeds of Color Party. So, oh, in a kind of related way, Mayor Wu has come out in support of Harvard President Claudine Gay.
That's so weird.
So strange. Um, so Let me see. Where is the video? There was a video that I saw on Twitter of Mayor Wu defending her position. Um, but it was like something I can't find it, but it was something along the lines of like in a city with a history like Boston's, and there's been so much, Asian hate here and so much racism and things like that. Um, I'm surprised at the reaction of this or whatever. Basically calling everyone else racist and then like not even apologizing for anything. She doubled down on the party and they still held the party, which the other thing that people were kind of pissed about was her electeds of color party was at the exact same time as like the Boston elected officials Christmas party. So it was like, don't go to that one, come to this one where it's non-whites only. And she didn't see a
Which,
problem with that.
yeah, what's the issue?
So then, since then, she gave a speech that Vinny just sent this to me at 6:30 tonight. Um, Mayor Wu claims that white supremacy and hate levels are dangerously rising in Boston, and she's working with the police department and the FBI to deal with it.
We're all looking for the guy who did this.
Like,
Someone should mail her a hot dog suit.
so she literally holds this party at the same time as the normal Christmas party for non-whites only. And then 3 days later, she gives a press conference and says that white supremacy is becoming a problem. No, I think you just pissed off a bunch of people with
Yeah.
your stupid fucking holiday party.
And that's
And
in
now
the other
people
thing
aren't
too is
happy about it.
and the other thing too is like people hate her and she's using that as like, oh, see, it's because I'm Asian.
Yeah,
Like,
you hate
no,
me
it's
because
because
I'm
you're an
Asian.
idiot.
No, it's because you suck, right?
It's
It's
because
because
you're an
you're an
idiot.
awful person.
And the stuff that you've done is why people hate you. People hate you based on your actions,
Right,
not your fucking appearance, not your fucking heritage.
right,
You act like an idiot and people dislike you.
right. So that's the other latest. Good old Boston between Harvard and the fucking shitty mayor. How long is the mayor term in Boston?
I don't know.
Let's
She'll
find
probably
out.
get fucking reelected though.
Yeah, somehow, right? Like,
Well, the same way she got elected in the first place.
yeah. Um, oh, it's a 4-year term.
What is she finishing up year two?
Yeah, she was elected in 2021.
Yeah, so she's completing year two. Gross.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, people didn't hate Menino. The guy was in office for 20 fucking years
Yeah.
and people loved him. They loved that guy. They loved Marty Walsh. As much of a scumbag as Marty Walsh was, most people didn't really have too much to say about him, but they really don't fucking like this woman.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you act like an idiot.
Yeah. And make everything about race, right? Like I think that's the issue. And I
Well,
think
no, people also hate her too for the traffic shit
well,
and
yeah, yeah.
like there's a lot
And
of
it
reasons
was
why
the
people hate
the
her.
the car crash and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of reasons why people don't like her. But I think also someone who works in her cabinet, if that's what it's called. I don't know what in her like mayoral fucking office, um, got kind of got busted for drunk driving, but like not really. And like
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
happened.
that's another one.
Yeah. It just got let off the hook for drunk driving because she works for the mayor. And it's like, okay, well, this is fucking stupid. You suck, you dumb bitch. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Fuck all that. And on that note, want to wrap up this one?
We can wrap this up.
All right.
Um, I came dangerously close to pulling off the full Ron Swanson turf and turf last weekend.
Nice.
So at Michaela's work Christmas party,
Hmm.
I got a ribeye that was served to me. I was drinking Eagle Rare when I wasn't drinking wine all night. Michaela hit a wall on food, so she didn't finish her fillet, so I ate that. So the only thing I was missing from the Ron Swanson quote was a cigar. Because if you don't remember and you never watched Parks and Rec, he was eating a whatever ounce ribeye with a whatever ounce fillet, also whiskey and a cigar. And I'm going to consume all of this at the same time because this is America. So I was absent cigar, but I did have a bacon appetizer. So I don't know. I feel like that definitely like
Yeah, I think that helps.
I think that covers me.
Yeah, yeah, it should be good there.
And it was glorious. It was as good as you'd expect for
Well,
turf and
yeah,
turf.
I mean, turf and turf is probably the best fucking thing ever. I mean, I can't think of a food that I would rather eat than turf and turf. A ribeye and a fillet.
Yeah, I mean,
Which one would you eat first? I'd probably eat the fillet first because I like ribeye better,
well, it's either
and I
say
would want
yeah,
to
so
like
it's
enjoy the
either a
ribeye.
it's either a save the best for last. See, this is always like a big debate, and I really don't want to get into this because we got to do two tonight. But it's either yeah, you're either a save the best for last or you enjoy what you like first.
Yeah, I'm a big save the best for last guy.
See, it depends for me. Now, in this specific situation, that wasn't up to me. That was predetermined. On a day where I may eat like a ton of food, I'm gonna get to the one that I want the most in case I run out of
Yeah,
steam towards the end.
right. No, that's totally fair. But if I'm at a restaurant, if I'm at Ron Swanson's restaurant and I order a turf and turf, um,
Yeah, turf and turf full appetite.
I'd probably eat the fillet first
Fuck, I
to
might
enjoy
still
the
eat.
ribeye.
See, I might still eat the ribeye first because I don't want to like because part two of running out of gas would be like palate fatigue. I don't want to ruin it on a fucking fillet.
Just have
Yeah.
them season it differently.
No. Uh no. I don't know. I might be the I'm just gonna get to it. But
That's
like
fa- I
so like
mean, I don't think there's a wrong answer.
I think
I think
yeah,
it's personal preference.
I think I'm just gonna get to it when they're so similar. Right.
Yeah.
So like because like I was trying to think, oh my God, what's a comparable? So like when I go to Davio's, usually I get the same thing. It's the short ribs. I'll eat like the onion strings and the mashed potatoes first, and then I'll eat the short ribs last. But because I think I might where my head's at is because it's steak and steak, we do run the risk of fatigue, and they are very similar. So I'm just gonna go for the one I like best first, so that when I am running out of gas and I'm not that hungry, I don't have to worry about taste anymore.
What you need to do is get like something sweet, like to reduce the palate fatigue.
Sugar.
Yeah, a lemonade. You got to get a lemonade.
Uh,
Yeah, that's actually why the competitive eaters use
Drink
lemonade
lemonade.
because they when they eat hot dogs and hot dog buns, they get palate fatigue. So the lemonade is
Sweet.
different. Didn't we learn that from Haslam?
I don't know.
I learned that in a class once. That's the
Maybe
reason
I
why
also
they,
I may not have got that tangent. That's
yeah.
another thing. Now, usually he would have the same tangents all the time.
Or it could have been a Braun. It could have been a Braun tangent. It was either Haslam or Braun. Because I specifically remember as part of this tangent, they were like, yeah, if you want to eat a lot of food, you got to get ice cream to eat your ice cream with it. Because you're going to eat the food, you get
That
the
was
palate
That had
fatigue,
to have been
and
Braun.
then you take a break, you eat ice cream, and then you can eat more food.
That sounds like Braun.
Yeah, I think that's a Braun.
Because I think Braun used to like kind of like think like that. Like he would think like a slob.
Yeah.
I don't think Haslam ever really like did that.
No.
Because say
No.
what you will, he was a fucking healthy dude.
Yeah, he was too busy, talking about his 90 minutes of cardio every day.
Right. 10 miles a run, 6 days a week for 10 fucking years, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But can't win them all with him.
No, so I think it was Braun who taught me that.
Well, because
That's how
he
you
used to
combat palate fatigue is you have to have something of the opposite like flavor profile.
he used to do the like glycogen replenishment. Oh, just eat cake and cookies after you work out. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Slob.
Would you rather eat 100 calories of salad or 100 calories of cake? Give me the cake.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's
okay.
yeah. I get it.
Yeah, like I know what you're saying, but there's more to it than
You're
that.
using academia to
Yeah.
fucking defend your habits.
So, um, what's my final thought going to be? Oh, um, so I got a fucking bone to pick with Verizon and just any company in general that uses um like an automated helpline process, right?
So all of them.
Yeah, well, Verizon was particularly bad. So most places, right? Because I've done this before. I've called a helpline. Most places, when you call a helpline, it's for a specific reason, right? Like I'm not just calling for fucking nothing, right? So I got a new router for the house because the current route we just had like the standard Verizon router. Um, and where it is with the cable is on the other end of the house, and where my stuff is and my work setup, my internet was absolute dog shit. Um, when I went back to work after um the baby was born, and I was like working mostly again in this corner of the house away from that. So I was like, I got to get a new router. So I not to go down a whole rabbit hole, but I went with the mesh system. So it provides better Wi-Fi through all areas of the house and all that shit. But I had to call Verizon to switch from a coaxial connection to an Ethernet connection. So Verizon is different. They don't have modems. They have a optical network terminal because it's FiOS, right? It's fiber optics and it's all that shit. So it's not standard cable or internet or things like that. It's FiOS, right? So it was currently run to where it was in the house through a coaxial cable, which is just your standard old cable, like the black thing with the metal fucking dick piece in the middle that you had to spin around to like stick in the back of a router, right? Everyone knows what they are. To an Ethernet cable, which most people probably know what Ethernet is. It looks like an old phone jack. So I call Verizon and I get an automated service. And it's like, if you want bill service, press one. If you want, Wi-Fi service, press two. If you're having trouble connecting, press three. If you want to change something, whatever, press four. And it goes through the whole thing. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's Wi-Fi. So I go to I click number two. And then it like brings me to a different robot, right? And it goes, please state the reason why you're calling. And I go, okay. I need to switch my connection from coaxial to Ethernet. And the robot goes, I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. And I go, Jesus fucking Christ. So I say it again. I go, I need to switch my connection from the ONT box to Ethernet for a router. And the robot goes, I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. Are you having trouble connecting to Wi Fi? So I just said yes. I go, yes, sure. Why not? So then it brings me through, oh, please go to your ONT box and say I'm ready when you're there. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'm already in the basement. I had everything ready to go. I had the new router ready. It was plugged in. I had the Ethernet cable ready. Like everything was ready. All I needed them to do was just switch the fucking signal, right? And they're like, so I go, I'm here or I'm ready, whatever the fuck. And it goes, look for this button and then press this button and wait 30 seconds. I'm like, I don't actually need to do this. And then it goes, say, I'm done when you're done. So I just said, I'm done. And it goes, okay, give me a moment to check. And it goes through this whole thing. And it's like, um, I don't sense anything wrong with your Wi Fi connection. And I go, ah, Jesus fucking Christ, here we go. So it's like, do you have anything else you would like us to do for you today? And I was like, yes, do not hang up on me, you stupid fucking robot. I'm just going back and I'm yelling at this robot. So then I finally figured out, well, I'll just unplug the mode, like the ONT box. So I went through the whole process again with the robot, and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty finding your connection. I do not see it live. And it's like going through this whole thing. And then it's like, if I can't figure it out, I will connect you to someone who can. And I go, great. So then it proceeded to bring me through about 7 more steps to try and figure out why my Wi-Fi wasn't working before it finally said, I'm sorry, I don't think I can help you. Let me connect you to someone who can. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like that's at one point when it said one of its stupid robot lines and it would ask me a question to like say something, I literally said, can I talk to a human?
Thing just
And
goes, no.
yeah, and it was like, I'm sorry, I don't recognize that response. And I'm like, Jesus fuck. So I went through the whole process. I looked at my phone, took almost 16 minutes. I think it was like 15 minutes and like 37 seconds or whatever before they connected me to a human. So the best part about all of this is I get the woman on the phone and she goes, hi, this is so and so from Verizon. How can I help you today? And I go, yes, I need to just switch my connection to a new router from a coaxial to an Ethernet because I bought my own router. I'm not using your guys' one anymore. And she goes, oh, okay, hold on one second. And then like 2 minutes goes by and she goes, okay, it should be all set. Are you plugged into the new router? And I was like, no, not yet, but like I can. So I plug it in. She goes, okay, I'll stay on the line and make sure everything's cool. So I plug it in, it turns on, everything's going. I have an app to control the router on my phone. I log in, I do everything. And she goes, yeah, I'm seeing everything's all good. All good on my end. She goes, is there anything else I can help you with today? And I was like, I literally spent 16 minutes talking to a robot when if I just got the human, I could have been off in 2 minutes.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have gotten the pleasure of going through that process.
I just don't get it. If this might be my old man yells at cloud moment, but like, why can't I just fucking talk to a human when I call a helpline? Like, there should be an option. If you want to have an automated robot system, sure, go ahead. Knock fucking knock yourself out, right? Knock me out while you're at it. But give me an option, right? Like when you read through all the numbers, just give me the option to go direct to the human, right? If it's like if you don't hear anything here, press 9 to be connected to a fucking human or whatever. It's like just give me the option
Well, that's why
because that whole
usually it's
thing could have
like
been skirted.
usually it's press 1 for whatever, press 2 for whatever, press 3 for the other thing, press 4 for billing, press 5 for account info.
And then
If
when it
it's
gets to
something
the
else,
end,
say
it
something
says,
else.
yeah, or it'll say stay on the line and we will connect you to a representative.
Yeah, so I will, like, if I was to use Comcast, for example, like Comcast can reset your router without needing a human. But what will happen is people will call back, I need a human. I need a human. I
Yeah.
got to get through to a person. And it's like, oh, what happened? It's like, I need to reset my router. It's like, you didn't fucking need me to do that. We can do it
Right.
automatically. So
Right.
that's why it can't just be like go to the human because that's what everyone's going to do. And then you'll never get through. The wait times will be 45 minutes before you can even get through to a human,
Right.
especially when people have like, you know, automatic things.
Yeah. Or I guess just make your robot better. Because when I asked to switch from coaxial to Ethernet, it just kept
It
saying,
was
I'm
never going to know
sorry,
that. Yeah, it was
I don't know
never
what
going to
that
know
is.
that.
Right. So like either just give me the option to talk to a human or make your robots better. Because
I
it
think
took me what effectively ended up being about 20 minutes to handle something that should have taken 2 minutes.
I think it's the something else is the right answer.
Yeah, I agree. Which most places have that, but not Verizon. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for us for episode 1 here. So for thank you all for watching on YouTube. Don't forget to hit subscribe up above, smash the like button down below. If you're an audio only guy, you can subscribe there as well, whatever platform you're on. Tell everybody you know about the show. Help spread the word. If you use Spotify or Apple, leave us 5 stars and a review. Much appreciated for you folks that have done that already. And an advanced thank you for those that will do it. Um, you can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod, or on Twitter at Sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks, website sarcasmspeaks.com. You can find all the sponsors below in the show notes. So go support them and use the promo codes that we have under there too to get your discounts and all that fun shit. So until next time, for you guys and a few minutes for us, good night, everybody.